The best salad for weight loss? Is it possibly a salad kit? You guys know I make homemade salads here all the time on this channel, but I've recently embarked on leaning into salad kits every single day for 30 days, and my own weight loss was extraordinary. Is it because I used kits instead of homemade? Should you use kits instead of homemade? You guys, I would die on the hill that our very best strategy is to make our own. But these can be great tools, and that is what I'm gonna unpack in this video. The ways to think about this, when to lean into them, when to make your own, why we should all be making our own. You know, we've seen massive weight loss success in the Eat Like a Bear community with this giant salad eating giant skillets, eating giant soups. We're known as the 1 meal a day eaters, but we have people out there eating 2 meals. Also, this is highly flexible and highly adaptable, but it is the case in these 30 days. I leaned into my 1 meal a day for weight loss because that is what works so well for me. And so why not lean into what you can see working for yourself? It's been featured in magazines and all that. And so I've recently done the salad kits for 30 days in a row. So all of my videos here on this channel are homemade salads. And that is our #1 strategy. I'm gonna tell you why. Let's talk a little bit about the salad kits because we might wanna lean into these at times. So the good and the bad about the salad kits. One key potential benefit of the salad kits is they are so easy to make, especially in my 30 days as I was out in my car. I was out all over the place, and it's kind of nice when you're in the trunk of your car not to have to whip up your own dressing. But I have done that, and it is possible. But for the most part, in losing all of those pounds in 2017 and 2018, I was here whipping up my dressings and all of that here in this kitchen. It's what I show here on this channel, and I thought it would be interesting to see just how quickly I can put this together compared to one of those salads. So we have all of this video evidence of me here in this kitchen making the homemade salads. Let's see how long those take compared to how long this takes. Now, the key difference is really making your own dressing, in my opinion. All the other stuff, it's like grab and go, you know, have it all around, grab this, grab that, toss that on top. There tends to be nothing in these salad kits besides the dressing that you can't just grab and toss. But you can also buy the greens already chopped, just not in a kit, and make your own dressing. So that is an option as well. Now that's an option, let's put a little asterisk because I will be talking about the good and the bad about the kits. And part of the good and the bad is about buying the chopped greens as opposed to buying like a whole head lettuce or something like that. So all these factors end up in play, but a big point is how long does it take? So let's just see let's put a little timer on this and see how long it takes to open these up and get the dressing in there, okay? And compare it to making homemade. I'm totally curious. I have no idea how much quicker this is. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna open the 2 bags, I'm gonna put in the greens, I'm gonna put in the dressing, and we're gonna time it. Okay, I think we should do this like side by side here in this very kitchen. Let's go. Should have had scissors ready. I'm gonna add other greens. And that's it, 2 minutes and 14 seconds, but let's stir it, 2 minutes, 56 seconds. Let's add the toppings. These are like the little convenience items, proving not to be super convenient. 4 minutes and 24 seconds. We don't have the protein on top yet. That would take another, what, minute if it's already ready and you're just dumping it in, maybe? And so this is definitely simple, it's easy, but I can do it just about as quickly myself with my own stuff. 5 minutes, 18 seconds. And that is what I did to lose the 140 pounds. That is my top recommendation to everyone. But let's unpack some of the differences. So to win the long game, we all need to find a way of eating that works well for us. And that needs to be simple because you wake up on a bad day. You need something simple that you have practiced that you know is going to help you continue to reach your long-term goals. Simplicity wins the long game. It is why my super simple salads work so well. It is why the salad kits have worked so well. It's why the equivalent skillet dishes or soup dishes work so well, because you learn what's working for you and you keep doing just that. So as an asterisk on this whole salad kit thing, I feel like I need to tell a very important story, and I feel like this ends up being the very big difference between the salad kits and the homemade salad. So I'm going to take you back to 2017, August 31st, or maybe it was around mid-September, when I launched into my one meal a day. And I thought, you know, how about if I have a giant salad? If I'm only going to have one meal, because I was just trying it. I'd never done one meal a day before. I was terrified that I would be starving, okay? Not realizing that a lot of that hunger is trained, and I was about to train myself to be hungry once a day, which is kind of crazy and amazing. But I thought, you know, if I'm just eating once, man, it's gonna be big. But I also knew, even with like one meal a day and having low carbs and all these things mattered. Calories also mattered. And so I needed to keep my calories in some kind of a boundary. And so how was I gonna have like one giant meal, but keep it calorie minded? Well, greens, vegetables in general are a really big leverage point for that very thing, because you can eat a lot of bulk and then not have the calories. Okay, so it is a calorie minded way to build a meal. And that was my just way of thinking back in mid-September of 2017 as I launched this. But this is here the really very important point. Okay, so we know this is going to be more calorie minded simply because of all the vegetable in there. And that's true. Now, it's also true you can put a lot of other calories in there and end up gaining weight. Okay, so not all salads are equal. And you need to learn what works for you. And that is exactly what I did in the fall of 2017. I launched like this one meal a day for myself. And then I did something, I call it iterating. And so what that looked like, I would make a salad, and that was my meal for the day, okay? And I would consider, did that meal get me to tomorrow very well? And I actually ended up landing in terms of the calorie range in like the 1,000 to 1,200 calorie range, because that's what got me to tomorrow well. I actually played around with 500 calorie meals, 800 calorie meals, because I wanted my weight loss to go even faster. As another little note, I actually had been approved for bariatric surgery, which I never had, okay? But I went through the approval process and the education about it, and I was told that with bariatric surgery, I would be eating 500 to 800 calories a day. And so back in the fall of 2017, as I'm eating these things, I thought, wow, I should dabble around with maybe trying to get in that 500 calorie range and speed my weight loss up even more. And what I realized for me, now this might not be the case for everybody, I have no idea. I couldn't get to tomorrow on 500 calories or 800 calories. And so I stepped it up. I stepped it up in the salad a little bit, okay? And so in the course of those weeks, I tried many different things in crafting my salad, and I found what worked for me. Now, had I just started with somebody else's salad kit and said, well, that's what I'm gonna eat, I don't know that I would end up in this place. I don't know that I would have ended up here telling you this story. I want everyone to be mindful about what's in the bowl, about your own personal goal, about, is it getting you to tomorrow? Is it something that you can keep eating for the rest of your life? Because notice, I'm 6 years in and I'm still eating this, and it's delicious, okay? My concern with people just leaning into the salad kits all the time, maybe not paying attention to what's in them, not being very mindful of that, maybe will not have the same results as opposed to the person who's maybe taking a step back on what's in the bowl, thinking about it in a little more detail, and really analyzing, did that work for me today? Did that work for me today? Changing it up. Because you'll find this, load it up with high calorie dressing for a month and see if you stall, because you will, okay? Because everything that you're putting in here, it does matter. Now, do I track it and get all worried about it? I don't daily track really anything, okay? But that's because back in September, October of 2017, I created this food formula that worked for me, and I kept doing it, and I continue to do it today. My sister adapted this in an interesting way in a 2-meal model. And so her one meal was something very protein-based, like eggs. Her second meal was a salad, not quite as big, with a lot less dressing. Her whole daily caloric intake ended up being lower than mine, and her weight loss showed accordingly, okay? And she was able to eat that way every single day and continues to eat a lot of those components in her maintenance. All salad kits are not created equal. And so in the marketplace, Taylor Farms has these mini salad kits. I don't even bother, they are so super small for me. But there's also these sort of regular size kits. This one's from Market Side, but they are about this size typically in terms of the size of the bag. And then there are family sizes. And very typically for my ridiculously big salad, I'm eating an entire family size bag, or I'm eating 2 of these. But this one is a really good example because this really kind of tops the calorie range, at least of those that I've tried, in this class. So I would typically eat 2 bags of this, and 2 bags of these actually clock in at about 1,400 calories. My whole salad that I ate for weight loss all those months and, all these years. So I would have a salad or I'd have a skillet or something, and they would fall in a similar calorie range given my own needs. And that calorie range tends to be 1,000 to 1,200 calories. That is a low amount of calories. I am a small person. Okay, so you can already see 1,400 just in the 2 kits. I add some protein on top, which I typically do. I'm at 16, pushing up to 1,800. 1,800 is my maintenance calories if I am being physically active. So I'm at very high risk with these 2 kits of, losing nothing today at all and being lucky if I don't gain. Okay, so that's the difference between this kit and maybe a kit that clocks in at more like 400 or 500 calories, which bags in this size, some of them do clock in that range. And so you definitely want to look at the label on back, and they'll have servings on here, and you want to look and do the math on the servings times the calories, for instance, because they really do vary. And so this salad kit has 4 servings, and that's so that it can show like, oh, it's only 180 calories per serving. Okay, do the math. And other salads, looks like it's the same size, and it will say 180, but it might be times 3. Okay, you see what I mean? You got to do the math. Do the math. It all does matter. Not all salads are equal for weight loss. Food safety. And so I'm totally eating this as I'm filming. I hope I don't have lettuce in my teeth. But during the 30 days of salad kits, there were actually some salad kits that were recalled for Listeria. And so in those cases, it was the shredded cheese that was in the salad. Very often when the kits are recalled, it's because of the greens. Now, why is this? Anytime with any food, and particularly food you are going to eat raw, there is a risk of food contamination. There's a higher risk the more processing that is involved. And so shredded cheese has a higher risk than like a block of cheese. And the reason is very simple. That block could be contaminated, but then when it goes through the shredder, that Listeria ends up on a bunch of other cheese too, and all the little pieces and all of that, okay? Because the shredder itself gets contaminated and spreads that around to all the cheese. Same with the lettuce. A whole head can be contaminated. Okay, let's be clear about that. But it is less likely because if you start to shred that one contaminated head and that shredder then gets the E. coli 0157H7, it will spread it to other heads of lettuce as it's shredding those. And so anytime something is shredded, cut up, and all that in a factory, you can end up with these batches that are contaminated. Now, is it because it's a big old factory? Well, big old factories actually tend to have some better food safety protocols because they're big factories and can get sued, maybe than smaller operations. And the reason we see bigger places in the news more is because they're simply making more product. Little places shredding your stuff can also be contaminated. Your own kitchen shredding your own stuff can be contaminated. We need to be aware of all of this. And especially if you're an immunocompromised person, you're probably going to start with that whole head and shred it yourself, okay? That's not to say if you're not immunocompromised that you can't get sick in a recall. And all of this, all of our eating, all of our entire lives is really a risk assessment. And we all need to make these decisions based on our own risk. And so if I found a kit in a recall, I mean, I'd throw it away and I wouldn't eat it. Sometimes these recalls are like unknown spinach. I wouldn't eat any of the spinach in that time during a recall before they know where the source actually is. Eat something else. But because spinach can get recalled doesn't mean that I never eat spinach or that maybe I always cook it, because that would be a way to kill that foodborne illness, is to cook it, okay? No, I still eat it raw. It's just part of the risk that I'm willing to shoulder. Maybe you're not, and that's okay, because you can cook it. You can cook some broccoli. There are so many options for all of us. But I did lean into the salad kits for 30 days because apparently I feel like I'm gonna be fine with that decision. And I was. Did I roll the dice a little bit? Yeah, I kind of did. And each of us just needs to weigh these decisions in the context of our own lives and our own situations. So how about all the stuff in all the little baggies in these kits? So there's the dressing. And it's commercial dressing. I pretty much never eat commercial dressing, but I did in these 30 days on these salad kits because that was the whole point of the kit, is for me not to make it myself. If I'm gonna make my own dressing, I'm not gonna buy a salad kit. I'm just gonna buy lettuce, shred it myself, or I guess let them shred it for me, but I'm not gonna buy the whole kit. The dressings in the kits are not the exact dressings I would make at home. They have things in them to help keep them stable. I don't need to do that at home. And so I'm avoiding that with my homemade recipes. I think that's what we all should do. But did I eat them? Yeah, I sure did. Did I have good results? I had great results. Will I now eat salad kits every single day for the rest of my life? Of course not. I'm going back to my homemade. But the other crispy crunchies on top, a lot of these have like crouton-like items. They tend to have things like, raisins, cranberries. This one has shredded cheddar. So some of the extra carbs in some of these salad kits come from things like the cranberries. And so what about those? What about the croutons? Because you guys know, I really watch my carbs. And the salads that I teach are very low in carbohydrates. So some of these salad kit approaches I've been taking, my carbs daily were like 100 grams. That is way more than I would have in making my own. Like, it would be much lower in carbs making it myself. And part of the cause, it's not just the dressing, but it's the little crispy crunchies and everything else that goes on top, that I will tell you in 2017, I would have been terrified to put something like croutons on my salad, for sure. And I didn't put many raisins or anything like that on the salad. But did I in these 30 days? Yes, I did. First of all, I'm not nearly as terrified of a raisin as I was in 2017. I was kind of under that notion of we have to eat as low carb as possible. Now, there are a lot of reasons that's not a bad idea, okay? It is a good boundary to draw when we need to draw boundaries. Carbs are a really great boundary to draw. But as I look at it now, one of the reasons it's probably good for me to keep certain things out of my kitchen here in my homemade salads is because when I'm making them, I'm maybe putting a lot of that thing on there. These salad kits, the very interesting point is those little baggies of all the little toppings are very small. And they keep you in that little small baggy boundary. And you put it on there and that's all there is. You're not grabbing more out of the jar. You know what I'm saying? And so I really felt like those extra carbs or whatever wasn't really that impactful for me in these 30 days. I've completely crushed the weight loss, you guys, in the 30 days, despite the few croutons or whatever else, because of the whole totality of what I was doing, because of the point that 100 grams of carbs is still pretty low. And I got out and I hiked it all off anyway, so none of it really mattered. And so that's kind of where I've landed today, is I'm just not gonna worry as much about it. My concern with something like the croutons or anything is, am I eating a giant mountain of them? And if I find myself eating a giant mountain, I rein it in. I rein it in. The crouton eating hasn't been a problem. Now, if the crouton eating caused me to go out and get sourdough bread at the bakery and led me down that path, then I would be cutting the croutons. If the little baggie caused me to go out and buy a bunch of croutons and then sort of make that the center of what I'm eating, am I now going to buy croutons to bring home to put on my homemade salads? Croutons are not part of the long game in my life. But if they find their way onto a bowl here or there, I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about them. The things I bring into my own kitchen to add to my homemade salads, I like to ensure that it is part of my long game play. Croutons are not part of that. But in these 30 days, I added them. I'm going to say I partly added them because I was curious if I would end up chasing the bread out there. I was curious what it might do to me. Definitely in 2017, I would have been concerned. And maybe back then, it would have been an issue. I was new to all this. Maybe it would have sent me to the bakery. If you find any of this sending you to the bakery, rein it in. These are the kinds of decisions that will be very, very different for each of us. And this discussion, the crouton discussion, should you eat the crouton discussion? You guys, this is the stuff we discuss all the time in the Deep Den. And that is our member area that is really rooted in these psychological discussions. And that is a word from our sponsor, by the way, the Deep Den at Eat Like a Bear. Should you eat croutons or not?